Hey guys, what's up? This is Choselo here, and I actually got a really good gameplay for you guys from Halo 4. I go 41 and 11, which is pretty damn good if you ask me. Every time I play this map, I actually grab the salt and I go and I sit up in this middle room for a little bit. That's at least the beginning of the match. I wouldn't suggest jumping up here the way I did. I would suggest going up the little cave route and going up here, because what I did was pretty dangerous and usually gets me killed a lot of the time. This was one of the rare instances where it actually didn't for whatever reason. But yeah, I finally got the hang of using the saw, so definitely having some fun with that thing in this match. Anyways, I want to talk to you guys about something that's been bothering me for quite a long time, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a 19-year-old college kid as of next month, and I'm taking this oral speech class 101, which is, this is exactly what it is. Oral communications is a speech class, and this was our third or fourth speech that we had to give earlier this week. I think it was the fourth one, I'm not sure, but anyways, what we had to do for this speech was, it was a persuasion speech, and it had to be 7 to 9 minutes long, which is, to be quite honest, that is absolutely perfect commentary time for this match right here. And it's actually pretty relevant to YouTube and video games and all that, so I thought I would give you guys my speech, you know, in a way, but also put it into a commentary perspective and let you guys know what I talked about in front of that class. And it is honestly something that has been bothering me for quite a long time. It's still an issue today in 2012 when it really shouldn't be. And so the subject of my speech was, or the title of the speech I should say was, "Does violent media create killers?" And I was trying to persuade the class that violence in entertainment and media, it doesn't create violent people. Like, every time you turn on the news will say otherwise. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. So here, I'll give you my speech right now. According to Escapist magazine, 54% of Americans believe that video game violence leads to real-world violence. Now, that's more than half, which is quite scary if you ask me. You know, it's like, I'm here to debunk the popular idea that violent entertainment does not lead to violent, or that it does lead to violent act in real world. I'm here to debunk that. So, as you guys know, I'd like to consider myself a good, credible source for this, because you're looking at gameplay right now. Halo 4, it's a violent first-person shooter, but I've also uploaded Dead Space. Gears of War is probably one of the goriest games out there. Apparently, I'm not allowed to do a commentary without someone texting and interrupting me. Alright, you know, it's like I have all this violent content on my channel. I mean, look at all the Call of Duty and the Battlefield and all the shooting people in the face and blood and gore and all that happening, right? And it's like, how many of you have gone out and seen a scary movie or a horror movie? You know I have. I've seen every single slasher movie. You know, I go and see all the Paranormal Activities, which, well, they're not too, you know, bloody or anything, but Sinister, I saw that a month ago. Sinister was bloody as hell, and that was a great movie. You know, it's like all those movies, and it's like, I haven't gone out and decided to go shoot someone in the face with some kind of pistol or something, just because you know, see all this violent entertainment out there. So it's absolutely absurd. Like, there are people who think that if you do this, like if you play violent video games or you watch violent movies, you're more prone to go out there and you will become a violent person. That's simply not true, you know? It's like, have you guys, I'm sure you guys play video games, otherwise you wouldn't be here right now. You guys watch the violent movies, and now you guys know you aren't violent people, I'm sure. You don't go out and you don't go start breaking glass and kicking puppies and shit like that. You just don't do it, you know? The idea that a sane adult will go out and get in a fight with someone or cause other violence in the world after playing some Call of Duty or watching a Michael Bay film is absolutely ridiculous, you know? It's the same principle that guns don't kill people or spoons don't make people fat. You know, you guys understand what I'm trying to say? Violent media, just because someone is entertained by something, that doesn't mean that they're some kind of killer or something, you know? It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, come on now. In 1999, you guys may or may not have heard of this, you younger kids might not have, but there was a shooting, there's a school shooting better known as the Columbine Massacre, And back then, the media tried to, or the news media, they tried to blame a popular video game called Doom for the terrible incident, you know? And even the parents of the victims tried to sue the creators of Doom, according to BBC News, because of it. Now, you know, they were blaming the creators of Doom for that. For the kid who went in and shot everyone, all 13 victims of the 2 people. And of course, now I know everyone here has heard of this. Earlier this year, there was a terrible massacre that occurred in Colorado, and that was during the Dark Knight Rises premiere. And when CNN was reporting that, they had a guest come on the show, and he said, oh, well, all these video games people are playing nowadays, you know, that's why people go out and do this. And when the same incident happened, there's a popular talk show host named Rush Limbaugh, and he claimed that the darkness of the Dark Knight trilogy was the blame, as if, you know, Batman's original character wasn't supposed to be this dark. You know, Batman's changed. You know, if the Joker and Bane weren't so violent, if these movies were a little more comical, maybe people wouldn't go out and do these kinds of things. And to suggest something like that, it's insane. Like, how can anyone say that? It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, the media has almost always tried to pin violence in the real world being related to violent entertainment, whether it's a book or a video game or violent movies, whatever. And they suggest that we should ban all of this stuff, you know, just for safety purposes. But here's the thing. Here's an interesting fact. There's a guy named Steven Pinker, which is, I'm not gonna lie, that's a weird name. But according to Steven Pinker, over the years, violence has actually gone down in schools. You know, it's like 50 years ago, you would see kids getting beat up for their lunch money. It's like nowadays, you don't see that nearly as often. That's almost something that never happens. It's like something you see on the TV now. You know, some kid getting his lunch stolen or beat up, or getting his money stolen for something like that. You almost never see that, and I've never seen that in my entire life. In fact, you know, there's a lot less, you know, violence according to, you know, your race or your sexual orientation, excuse me. You know, it's like these days a lot less people will care if you're gay, if you're of a different color than them. You know, as society becomes more accepting, that thing is going to go down. You know, you understand that? So it's like, how can, you know, as the violence in the media starts going up over the past recent years, I mean 30 years ago films were not nearly as violent as they are today. So how can one say that as the violence is going up and all this violent entertainment, and, you know, you see that violence has gone down over the years in schools, how can you say that they're directly related? Would now, especially, you know, when it comes to a child's mind, who is, you know, easily more influenced than an adult's, and it's harder for them to tell between fantasy and reality, how can schools be a lot less violent than they were, you know, almost 50 years ago today, when the violence in entertainment has gone way up? It's because there's no correlation between violent entertainment and violence in real life. Now, I do understand why people think that, though. I mean, or why, you know, people with concrete thinking would think that, you know? It's like you look at a little child and you point at a gun for the first time after he's seen, you know, all the violence on TV or whatever, and he'll say, oh, that's a gun, that's a bad thing, you know? But of course, those of us in the United States, at least, we know that guns are not an evil thing, and they don't go out and kill people and stuff like that, you know? And even without guns, if someone really wanted to kill someone, they would find a way. They're used as a tool of self-defense here. And with that same logic, violent entertainment does not create violent people, you know? I mean, like I said, that same example with a child would look at a violent movie and they'd probably think, oh, no, you know, we don't want to do that, that's not nice, but they're not going to go crazy because of it. Now think about this. For, I'm sure, hundreds and hundreds of years, we've all, as a society, we've given children like little army toys, or we've had them read little books that may contain some violence. I mean, hell, the Bible has violence in it. There's violence virtually everywhere you look. It all depends on your perception of reality. If you can tell the difference between fantasy and reality, then you should be able to be entertained by what you want. You know, all this stuff shouldn't be banned according to the news media just because it's violent and it's not something they like. You know, like I said, for the past 100, 200 years, we've given children, you know, like little boys, army toys, right? And they would act out the little wars, and you would hear them, you know, playing with the toys, right? But it's like, we would send that same kid to school the next day, and he's not gonna like start getting into fights or everything, so long as he knows the difference between fantasy and reality. So I don't understand, why this is even an issue nowadays, especially when violence has gone down, and especially since violence has been here for hundreds or thousands of years, because it's human nature. You understand? So, that's just how it is. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't think violent entertainment creates violent people, as so long as, it's a sane adult. The difference between children and adults actually is that adults think abstractly and children think concretely. Now, with that in mind, we as a society, if we want to move forward and we want to become more civilized and we need to become smarter among these issues, that's a nice stick, by the way, we have to understand, we have to think outside the box when it comes to certain issues. So, we're not children. Adults aren't going to be, oh, that's bad, that's going to do bad things, that film right there. No, of course not. It's just entertainment. To think that there are people out there who do think that, we should get rid of this stuff, I mean, I understand why they think like that, but, like, it's not, it's not practical to think like that. It's like you look at the shootings earlier for Columbine or The Dark Knight Rises, and how about instead of blaming the violent entertainment, how about we look at the psychiatric issues of the person who did it? What if they were simply insane? What if they were bullied at school? What if they didn't have a good relation with their parents, or, they were abused by their parents as kids, stuff like that. But, like I said, this is only one man's opinion. Let me guys know what you think about this topic. I thank you all for listening, and I will catch you all later.